Hey guys, welcome back to Jon's Watch. Today I'm taking a look at a game called To Be or Not To Be. Now, To Be or Not To Be is going to be released on Steam on February 4th, 2015, but you can currently pre-order it from the website using the Humble widget for $11.99. To Be or Not To Be is developed and published by Tin Man Games, who also have been responsible for porting a bunch of the fighting fantasy games over to Steam. You remember I did a video on Forest of Doom a while ago? And this game is basically a choose-your-own-adventure version of Hamlet, probably one of William Shakespeare's most famous plays. So the game does have full narration in it. I've turned it off so I will do all the voices, which may be terrible. They'll probably be terrible. As a big Shakespeare fan, I saw that this game was coming out and I had to have a look at it. So here we go. This is going to be very interesting, I think. It looks like it's got controller support already because you can use It does have Steam trading cards. Fantastic. You can see I'm in a cheeky beta up there because it's not actually out when I'm playing it. Alright, let's just hop into To Be or Not To Be. William Shakespeare, 1564 AD to whenever he died, was well known for borrowing from existing literature when writing his plays. That's true, there are usually about like 3 or 4, or probably more, source texts that Shakespeare used when he was writing. Can I just click? There we go. Romeo and Juliet is pretty much lifted entirely from Arthur Brooks' poem The Tragical History of Romeus and Juliet. Dude didn't even change the names. And as recent Shakespeare scholarship has established, the famed play William Shakespeare Presents Hamlet was lifted wholesale from the volume you're about to enjoy, To Be or Not To Be. That's true, I've read the articles about it actually. To Be or Not To Be is both the earliest recorded example of the books as game genre, as well as the first instant ever in the then newish English language that was kicking around of an adventure being chosen by you, the reader. We've gone ahead and added illustrations, plus we've taken the liberty of marking with tiny Yorick skulls the choices Shakespeare himself made when he plagiarized this book back in olden times. So, like when you're making choices, there you'll see like little Yorick skulls. Yorick, of course, is the skull that Hamlet picks up in Hamlet. And the skulls will just mark the choices you can make to follow Hamlet exactly as it's written. They look like that, a little skull. They're there in case you wish to put yourself in Shakespeare's shoes, reading this book as he did, stealing plot elements wholesale, and classing up the language as he/you went/go. Amazing. However, that is not the only way to read this book. Feel free to explore your other options, as each time you read this book you can go on a different adventure. Assume you don't read this book that number of times, at which point the adventure will start to repeat and they'll probably seem pretty familiar long before then anyway. Now take yourself back to history, when ghosts walked the earth and nobody knew velociraptors were ever even a thing. Steel yourself to experience the magic of Shakespeare as it was meant to be experienced, in a non-deterministic narrative structure where you end up thinking maybe you made the wrong decision. So you mark the pages you were just on, so you can always go back and make a different choice if you die for some dumb reason. To be or not to be. That is the adventure. This looks fantastic. So the game is all written by Ryan North, who is a noted Shakespeare scholar / enthusiast. So we can choose our character, which is obviously what Shakespeare did. I can read the acknowledgements, or I'm just going to keep reading. Well, I'm going to choose my character. You've just been born! Congratulations! Good work on that thing. Now, surprise! Babies are boring, so we're going to jump ahead in time to a point where you're an adult and you've already lived a bunch of your life. But I promise most of what we're skipping over was really dull. You ate a lot and slept a lot and made some friends, tears were shed, makeouts were totally had, etc. There was a bunch of high school stuff. The awesome stuff starts now. So let's begin, my friend. Remind me again who you are? Are you... So you can be Ophelia, who is an awesome lady in her late 20s with a calm, competent and resourceful demeanour. She's got a +1 bonus to science, but she's also got a -1 weakness against water. Oh, that's horrible, because she drowns. She drowns herself in the play. So heads up. Probably not the most ideal character to play as, because she will die. Hamlet is an emo teen in his early 30s. Also, he's the Prince of Denmark. He's got a +1 resistance to magic, but there's no magic in this adventure, so this never gets mentioned again as of right now. Or you can play as Hamlet Senior. He's the King of Denmark, 50 years old. He's super good at fighting and leading men into battle and naps. So let's say +1 to each of those. Look, bottom line, he's an unstoppable machine of death, and should you choose to be him, you may experience kingly glory. Aha! So we can be Ophelia, Hamlet, or Hamlet Senior. I'm going to go ahead and be Hamlet. Right now we are following what Shakespeare did, apparently. Achievement get, to be he. Oh, just got an achievement for that, by choosing to play as Hamlet. I should mention that this game has a lot of artists working on it. There's people who have worked on things like Penny Arcade, The Oatmeal, Axe Cop, and Saturday Morning Breakfast cereal, among others. So you will see lots of great art in this. You are Hamlet, you're 30 years old, and you're back living at home. But it's okay because your home is a castle. That's right ladies, you're a prince. Things have been rough lately. You've been trying to focus on your studies at Wittenberg University, where you and your bros Horatio, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern all hang out, but you're called home because your father died. Then your dead dad's brother, Claudius, married your mom, Gertrude, 2 weeks later. Yep. It's made you kind of upset. You raced home to comfort her, but she's married your uncle, and that is weird. You feel weird. Right now, you're in the audience chamber of your father's castle, here in sunny Denmark. King Claudius is here addressing his court. Laertes and Polonius are here too. Laertes is kind of a jerk, and Polonius is his father. Polonius is also the father of Ophelia, whom you're totally sweet on. She's not here though. Who knows what adventures he's having as we speak, while you're stuck in this drafty castle room listening to other people talk about their feelings. Sounds like Ophelia might have been the way to go. Speaking of speaking, just now Laertes says something about how that Claudius is king, about how now that Claudius is king and he's attended the coronation, is it okay for him, Laertes, to go back to France? Claudius says, sure. Wait a minute, you'd love to leave too and go back to school, away from this weird incesty thing your mother's gotten herself into. It's so gross and weird. What do you do? Do we ask Claudius for permission to go back to school, or hold our tongue and just wait around? Well, I mean, it is pretty incesty and weird around here, so we are going to ask that bastard Claudius if we can go back to school in Wittenberg. You hold up your hand and open your mouth, but before you can say anything, Claudius addresses you directly, calling you his son. On the one hand, that's entirely appropriate, especially since he just married your mom like 2 weeks ago. But on the other hand, he has brought creepy uncle to new heights. Creepy uncle points? Points for that, maybe? What now? Insult him under your breath by saying you're more than kin, i.e. you're related more than once now as both father, son, and uncle, nephew. But less than kind, i.e. this relationship you're in is unnatural. In real life, people think of zingers like this on the spot all the time, so this totally makes sense. In the play, Hamlet just says, we're more than kin, but less than kind, and this explains the pun, I guess. Or we can say, you're not my real dad, and storm out of the room. We are going to go with the brilliant Shakespearean pun here. He straight up ignores your zinger. He does actually. Well, shoot. King Claudius goes on to tell you, in so many words, to buck up, stop dressing in black, stick around for a while, and have a little fun. He says all the feelings you're having are boring and wimpy. Your mom echoes his sentiments. Dude, your mom just called you a wimp. She does, it's horrible. You agree to stick around in Denmark for a while, they leave, and you're suddenly alone. Woo, you're finally alone, Hamlet. Time to soliloquy. What are you going to do? Talk to yourself about how your life is in ruins and how everything just sucks. Soliloquy. Or stand around quietly until something happens. We are going to just talk. Talk out loud to the empty room. And what do you say? I'll tell you what you say. You say you wish your skin could literally melt off your body, revealing a skeleton and gives a double thumbs down before crumbling into dust. I remember that phrase from the original Hamlet. It kind of stuck out then, but it does make sense now. You say that you thought your mom really loved your dad, but now that she's married Claudius less than a month after dad's death. Either love itself is fake, or she was faking love, and either way it doesn't matter because you lost faith in your own mother. You say to the empty room, in all seriousness, that you want to kill yourself. Whoa bro, this book just got real. So we can kill ourselves now, or we can don't kill ourselves. While you're busy doing that, your friend Horatio bumps into you and tells you, A, he's in town for your dad's funeral / mom's wedding, and they served leftover appetizers from one at the other. Yeah, they basically, because the funeral happened so close to the wedding, they used all the hot food from the funeral and just put it out as cold meat for the wedding. The things you learn in university, eh? B, ghosts are real. Yep. C, he's seen one, and so have a bunch of other guys. D, it keeps showing up at the same time, and E, he's pretty sure it's the ghost of your dad. You know, maybe could have led with that one, maybe. That's fine. Finally, some adventure, some closure. You agree that you'll come with him tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again. It's such an obvious decision that it kind of feels like you don't even have a choice in the matter. I guess we don't get a choice. What now? Oh right. Agree to go with Horatio tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again. Okay. I'll be there at 11:30 sharp, you say, and Horatio leaves, satisfied. Well, now you have 8 hours to blow before it's time to meet ghosts. What do you want to do, Hamlet? We can be Ophelia for a while, or we can play solitaire. That's because in the next scene, it switches to Ophelia talking to Laertes and Polonius. Oh, I'm tempted to play solitaire. I don't know what will happen. I guess we can go back if it's silly. You, Hamlet, Prince of all of Denmark, are now sitting in your bedroom playing solitaire for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Which is pretty colossally useless waste of your time, especially since you keep cheating. A 5 goes on top of a 3, Hamlet. Really? Anyway, at this point we're 15 games in, and wow, if you're not careful, people might start saying that your tragic flaw is, I don't know, an action? Oh look, we got an achievement! Fantastic. Okay, so we skipped the first Ophelia part, that's fine. Eventually the sun does go down, and it's almost 11:30, which hopefully you remember as the appointed hour Horatio told you about wherein a ghost keeps showing up to bother him. Whew. Time to go meet that ghost, huh? Meet up with Horatio and bust some myths about actual ghosts being real. And bust some ghosts. Amazing. You and Horatio go to where he saw the ghost the first time. Now we play the waiting game, says Horatio. He's interrupted by the sound of trumpets. You look at him and raise an eyebrow. It's because the King, Claudius, is drinking. They make that noise to warn everyone that King Claudius is getting wasted, he says. Those trumpets go off every night around this time. Told you. Denmark, he says. At that exact moment, something insanely crazy happens. What the frig? I'll tell you what the frig. A ghost is here. Look, ghost. Don't freak out, but right now you're staring cold in the face of a spectre. You can't even imagine how crazy this whole situation is. If you're getting too scared, read this next clause over and over until you're not insane with fear anymore. Everything will be okay. Don't panic. Alright. Okay. We can do this. With your last shred of sanity, you quickly glance at the ghost. And then you worry that if you stare at the ghost too hard, your brain will realize it's looking at something so insanely impossible that you'll just black out. Anyway, this ghost. You can see through it, but only a little. It's weird. And I'll tell you what the frig else, this ghost does look like your dad, and he's getting closer. This would sound so awesome if it was narrated by the narrator from Battle Block Theatre. It's like a very similar style to that, and I think it would sound so cool if it was narrated by him. Wherefore, it means why. We will don't stare at the ghost too intently and try to figure out what it wants. Are you my dad? I mean, my ghost dad? You ask the ghost, but it says nothing. Instead, the ghost beckons to you. He clearly wants you to follow him and leave Horatio behind. I don't know, is this safe? Can ghosts kill people? Can ghosts kill people? You ask Horatio. I don't know, man, but I really don't think you should be alone with that thing, he says, clearly leaving no ball untripped in his own freak out. Hamlet, man, something is rotten in the state of Denmark, I gotta say. Horatio doesn't actually say that line. I think it's like Marculius or something, some other tiny minor character. He yells, his quivering finger pointing at the ghost. Well, duh. I'm gonna do it, you say. And you... What do? Follow the ghost into the darkness? Or we could say, by that I mean I'm going to take this last chance to run for it. Nope. You follow the ghost into the mist. After walking for what seems like forever, you get tired of walking. I'm tired of walking, you say. You sit down. Pretty sure I'm done walking. Yeah, I'm out. The ghost stops and speaks to you for the first time. its voice issuing forth from lungs that no longer breathe air. "Hamlet, it is I, your father. Look, I can't stay around here forever, so you need to listen to what I tell you. I didn't die of old age. I did some digging around, and it turns out I was murdered by Claudius." You gasp, shocked and enraged. "Killed by his own brother?" "He did it while I slept. I was walking in a garden, and you know how gardens are really boring, right?" You nod. "They're boring even for people who like them." "Exactly," says Ghost Dad. "Well, it was so boring I fell asleep, and while I was sleeping, he poured poison in my ear." "I didn't know poisons worked that way." "That's what I said," shouts your dad, throwing his hands above his head in frustration. He starts to pace back and forth. "Anyway, I want you to take revenge on him for me. I don't know, cuss him out or something. Pull out his chair when he's about to sit down. Offer him a high five, but when he goes to high five, you pull your hand away and say, 'Too slow.' Or should he offer you a high five, you must leave him hanging." "I could murder him. After all, he's sleeping with Mum." Your dad stops pacing and stares at you. "He's what?" Tell him they got married 2 weeks after the funeral, or tell him you were just kidding. No, he's got to know the truth. He said he got married basically right after the funeral, and that makes Claudius king now. You explain how maybe it's not technically incest, but the timing alone sure feels squicky. Yes, squicky. "Didn't he ever read the table of kindred and affinity, wherein whosoever are related to are forbidden inscription in our laws to marry together?" asks your dad. "Ah," you say. You refer to the document Queen Elizabeth ordered produced, which says a marriage such as this one we're discussing is not just squicky, but a real-life hardcore sin against God. A book which later made its way into the Book of Common Prayer. Oh, interesting. Itself so influential that we take many phrases such as "till death do us part" and "peace in our time" from it. Look, you get to learn things from this as well. "The very same," nods your father. "Although I can imagine that in the future, sentiments might change. As to whether or not such a marriage between genetically unrelated, loving, and consenting adults is among the very worst thing it is possible for a human being to do, that's not necessary for us to discuss right now." I agree. "Anyway," says your dad, "kill Claudius for me. Cool? Promise the ghost you'll commit murder." Or promise the ghost you'll commit murder in the classiest verse you can come up with. Obvious. You clear your throat, hold one hand open in the air in front of you, and promise the ghost that you will kill an alive human. This is what you say. "Yeah, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past, that youth and observation copied there, and thy commandment all alone shall live, within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven!" Your ghost dad seems pretty cool with that. New quest, kill Claudius, worth 3,500 experience. You've begun quest, kill Claudius. It's worth 3,500 experience points. That's a lot! What now? We can leave it there and return to Horatio, or we can throw in a little sexism for good measure. Might as well, eh? "Oh, most pernicious woman," you add, insulting not only Queen Gertrude, the woman your father adored, loved, and married, but also all women in general. Science Corner. Synonyms for pernicious include noxious and pestilent, and the word itself suggests that long-term harm comes from being in contact with whatever it's being used to describe. That's what he's saying about women. Stay classy, Hamlet. He's also all like, "Oh, frailty, thy name is woman." He just bashes women for most of the play, to be honest. He really does not like women. So we'll leave it there and return to Horatio. You walk back to where Horatio is waiting for you. Well, I'm going to have to leave the video there for now. This is a very fun and very funny game. There is like full recorded narrative for it, so you can play the game and pretty much just listen to it talk about Hamlet to you, which sounds great. I haven't listened to the narrator, so I'm not sure what they sound like. But this is a very fun game. It's very appealing to me as someone who's read a fair bit of Shakespeare and has studied Hamlet several times in high school and university. So I'm definitely going to play a lot more of this game. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! Now you can see him just running along over there. I should be able to get him pretty easily, to be honest. Like that. It's pretty easy when there's just one of them.